Okay, 225. So this is a very quick tutorial on establishing exactly how you're going to build a new massing model for your sectional wind tunnel study. And so I'm starting sort of with just a brand new blank open scene in Vasari. That might be the easiest way for you to start this particular part of the project. And I'm just going to go to the Create Mass tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is build a base. And I know if I'm working with the Ripley project, for instance, I know that that base is, I'm just going to ballpark some things here, about 100 feet by about 20 feet in size. Let's make that 30 feet. Now, what I want to be able to do is just quickly mass out a section that we can run wind through. So I'm going to go ahead and give this base about a 1 foot height. Because again, I need a surface on all 6 sides to guide the wind through. So the next thing I'm going to do is build the front, back, and side walls. And to do that, I'm just going to go ahead and start a new massing form. And you can kind of do these all in the same mass. I just find this method just a little bit easier to work my way through. I'm going to hover over this surface, make sure it's selected, and again, I'm just going to sort of ballpark a starting point for that back wall. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my edges into place. Sometimes it's a little easier of a method to work with in terms of working with surfaces and moving them around. So I'm just grabbing a grip, and you'll see when it highlights right there that I know that I have it in the right place. In other words, I'm matching an edge to an edge. Let's do that same thing again, grabbing the red grip and moving it until it locks in. And I'm going to select that outside line, and I'm going to say I want my wall to be about 1 foot thick. And then I should be able to select that entire surface and say Create Form, and let's make that wall about 20 feet high. Now there are 2 methods of creating windows. I could build a series of walls to actually create an opening. So in other words, if I had 2 windows in this back wall, I could kind of build a wall here and another wall here, and then a shorter wall that creates an opening and another short wall that creates an opening. But there's another massing type that we can work with called a void. And let's look at how to do that really quick. So again, I'm going to create a rectangle, and I'm going to draw it on this back surface. I'm going to put one here and another one here. And this time I'm going to select that surface, and underneath Create Form, I'm going to select this drop-down arrow and say Void Form. Now if you notice, that pulls a void away from the wall. What I actually want it to do is go into the wall. And the resultant of that is it cuts a hole, and that's called a void form. Now you can only do one void form at a time. You can't sort of select them and do multiples. But this is a far easier method than actually sort of building a set of walls to create those openings. So I'm going to go ahead and say Finish Mass. I'm going to select that. I'm going to copy this one to the other end, just like that. And now I need to build 2 side walls as well. So I'm going to go back to Model, Create Mass. I'm going to select my edges and move them into place. Now if you notice how it kind of free moved that time, I had actually selected the wrong location in the grip. I should be able to select, I did one too many undos. Let me start again here. Create a box. I'm going to select that surface. I want to make sure I'm grabbing just that green arrow. So anywhere I move the mouse, it should only move around that axis. That keeps me working with a higher level of precision. Do the same thing here. It should snap to the edge. Same thing this time. The free movement comes from when you select inside of the widget one of those surfaces, and there's sort of a free move that you enter into. And again, I want to make this wall, rather than sliding that in, I'm just going to select here and say I want that wall to be 1 foot thick. Select everything, Create Form, and again our walls are 20 feet tall. This time I'm just going to go ahead and Finish Mass. I'm going to select this wall, copy, this inside corner right here. It's a little tricky to pick. To this outside corner right here. And now the last piece that I need to do is something over the top. Again, we have to enclose the surface completely for the wind to work correctly with it. So I'm going to go back to Model, Create Mass. I'm going to select my square. I'm going to go top corner. It's not liking something about that. Let me try that one more time. I'm just going to do it a little more arbitrary this time and use the same method that I was before rather than trying to be too precise. Just go ahead and get a box in, make sure it's in the correct plane, and then slide the pieces into place. At times, and you'll hear me say this throughout the class, sometimes precision is your enemy, and you just have to work the best way you can through the program. Rather than trying to get something precise the first time. Everything's always movable and everything can slide around. So now at this point I have a solid box, everything's enclosed, and I'm ready to see how wind is going to move through this space. Now all of you should have additional interior walls. Those types of things are critical for this assignment, that you have everything masked out. Refer to the wind tunnel section tutorial that is online for your settings to actually move wind through the sectional study.